Well, looks like the market's just going to grind higher today. Not a problem with that. Let's go to our singles here. Huh. What do you know? Right? So proximal high, right? Notice how it got above it, stayed above it. Now, the the daily version, all right, the daily on that time, or the monthly timeline from the anchored VWAP, that was resistance once it got above the daily. Do we notice this? Right? So this was the pivotal time. This is the high, right? The proximal high. Once this was put in, that's what this is paying attention to. Broke out of it, right? Came right out, came down, retested it, right? Busted up through the anchored VWAP from that high. Then the resistance was the monthly time frame from that high. What's the monthly anchored VWAP from there? That's what was the resistance. Got above it, right? Fought to stay above this, but then got cranked down from here. All right, once that fell below that, that seems to be the next test here. But once she broke out, that's another anchored VWAP. Notice that that's where she's sitting. It's all a game, guys. You have to understand this. Like, this is just all computers. And if you figure out when these computers are done playing the down, like, let's stop beating it down and let's start supporting it, that's when you can put, you can find a good value, a good share price that you're willing to buy it on fundamental. But when it's time to actually move the chips in, is when you know you're with everybody else. The wind is at your back, right? Got above, right? There's, you'd think, oh, that's just out of nowhere where it stopped. But no, it's not. Because look, boom, 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 guys. This is, again. So now we know that there's some support here. When the times where it's falling off and all of a sudden it just stops out of nowhere, you can probably find a spot, usually from the proximal low or the extreme low, right, where it wants to fight. Now, we're not seeing anything here, but what happens if we go like this? Look. Right? So came up, bounced off this, but then once she got above that, things start to look real bullish, right? Tap, tap. This was pressuring it down. Got above that, looking good. Big down day, but got back above. Now we're looking bullish. Obviously, this is a key level right here at 550. It's all a game, guys. You just got to understand that it's just a giant game, giant video game, and you just need to, it's, it's, in some cases, it's as simple as Frogger, right? Or Tetris, and I mean, some of these old school games where you're doing reaction, you're seeing the pattern and all that stuff. You got to tap into that. The idea of being able to find the patterns, figure out what the computer wants to do next before itself is ready to go. It hasn't finished its own, journey of going to the low or going to the high, but you're already looking for the conditions, right? The if-then statements that it wants to, well, that its goal is either to hit, or the if-then statements that tell it to stop doing what it's doing, right? So you're looking for what's the if-then statement for the win for it, or when is it conceding defeat. And if you can start to see those things before they're happening, you can start to kind of envision, right? That's where all of a sudden a little bit more of the artistic side of this is. It's artistic, artistic math, right? You're already like, all right, where does this sucker have to go for it to be tapped out? Or when's the volume have to be dried up so much that it knows it's the only one left at the table, and in order to have other players, it needs to start playing for the other team, right? To entice people back to the table. Those are the types of things you got to be thinking about of when am I getting in, when am I getting out, when am I taking profits, when am I reducing that position, right? Now, it's honestly, sometimes it's really hard because I'll say this. You guys, if you don't have a good charting software and, TrendSpider, I've worked with those guys since before. I was a beta guy. Like, I was with those, working with them before they even launched it. And I've been so impressed because it just, those guys produce, like, their goal is to really actually produce. Like, some people say, like, in their mission statement, to be the best at something. These guys are not going to stop until they are. And I would say, maybe without being crowned by the media or, journalists or, other people in industry, which, not that people really review charting software that much, but I say they are. I mean, these guys put out great stuff, and admittedly, like, I prior to them, I'd think I'd be kind of a new age guy in terms of a lot of the indicators that I like to use. And as you get older, you kind of trim them down because, hey, at some points it's how it works for you. And if that's, and everything's kind of derivative in many ways, it's still taking the same data for the most part to come up with it. But sometimes you take a look and, like this go, no go, which is the different colors of the candles. That's something completely new to me. And I think that was last year. And it works really well on the smaller time frames and then the larger time frames. The intermediates, like anything from about like 15 minutes to the, like several hour time frames, not so much. But I really like it on the daily and the monthlies. And I also love it at the 1 minute and 5 minutes. So I use it constantly for both, talking about investments and a lot of stuff that we do for compounding healthcare. But then also I use it for day trading a lot. I love it. Unfortunately, my platform, that software is not nearly as good as this. So I have this on one screen going, or part of my screen, and then I have the charting, or I bring my execution box to float over this. So anyway, anything to change from today? No, I'm still looking at Cirrus. Where is that sucker? 7 minutes into the day here. I've missed the opening bell several times. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. I mean, we missed I put it in there as 176, and I apologize. I probably should have. I thought 176 was going to be its bottom yesterday, and I should have put 177 into the price alert. Maybe we still get it because this is a really long wick, so we don't know what the angle of attack would be here to the downside. It's got to be pretty steep. It's probably beating the upside, so we might see some roll over here, and then maybe we can test something down here. That'd be fine. I'm okay with that. Yeah, we might get the... Yeah, we're probably going to miss it. Yeah, because see, she hit it today. Or she's close to it. 188 is probably the low for today. Anything else? Cirrus, VKTX starting to... She held above this for the most part. We'll have to wait there. Anything else? Pack B to low. I don't mind that here. See, this is typically a good sign, right? So it's easing down, has a day where it really wants to test the lows, and then you get, the star, or in this case, like more of a belt buckle for me. Yeah, but anyway, neutral day, spinning top type of thing. And the next day, get a green day, decent, but notice the volume here, but decent volume day the next day that takes it above, and then now we're moving up higher. Obviously, the big test is, can she get above this? But for me, I'm for the fundamentals, like we could see there's an RSI breakout before we're seeing the breakout with the share price. So what would be the goal is probably, I mean, for the confirmation, you can add something here, but the goal would, or the confirmation you're looking for is to probably maybe just squeeze out, and then, a day of selling off, and at some point kind of testing the 380 area, or maybe just getting above this 389 and bouncing and going off that, which would be another confirmation that it's bouncing off this. Boom. It has this long-term RSI support here. So this might be a situation where she comes out, she has a little bit, and she just kind of squeezes out and stays out here for a bit, bases, and then spikes up, and then you see it go at some point. That could be a week, could be a month, could be the rest. It could take the whole year before it really kind of has that, because this is a really long-term RSI uptrend. So, but this could be a point where you can nibble at it. So I'm going to put that in there as well. I think a lot of people don't realize that some of these companies that, like, the amount of clinical trials that were put on hold and then had to be restarted, and then these companies now running into, we're cutting our workforce. So the R&D usually is the first one to go if these guys at least have had the drugs into the clinic, and now they're just worrying about getting through the clinic, and they don't want to be, supporting 100 extra staff members that are just sitting in the lab trying to come up with something. But if the R&D is already done there, their orders for some of these, all the healthcare, all the equipment, lab equipment, all that stuff, if no one's working it, then you don't need it. So they kind of put some of these orders on hold. Again, there's a lot of companies that are kind of, pushed back a year or two at least in terms of their timeline, so they're, not pulling the trigger on orders for stuff they're going to need for commercialization. So I think that's probably the equipment, the actual hardware stuff is probably the last industry in healthcare that's really going to see a turnaround. Now, healthcare tech, that one might hurt because of just, people drying up funds for a little bit, or putting some things on hold. But I think that one can be still full steam ahead in terms of R&D and employment. Like, people are trying to use healthcare technology to be cheaper, right? So I can see that one still moving ahead. It's the guys who actually have the equipment that needs to either do the tests, do the laboratory tests, and there's obviously anybody who's working on the actual construction, the manufacturing, all that. All that might be finally kicking back up. So we'll put Pac B in there. Checkpoint's another one to keep an eye on as well. I noticed, yeah, she kind of got bat down by this sucker, so ESPR back down a little bit. That's another one to add to. I might add to those right now. She's coming back down a little bit. Yeah, so there's lots to grab here, guys. Ooh, hello. That's the actual low, right? Yes, it is. So there's one there, and that's the acceleration there. Yeah, if you got a few of these guys going here, right? You can see the next few. Right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, she's got, now that's good to see because she's got this to deal with, but she's testing it. One little pop above that, so if the market wants to help out once she gets there, now she'll have 1, 2, 3 support. RSI is looking a little bit better. The monthly seems to be starting to curl up. she's there. So that was the low. Was that the low low? No. But we did get a little bit. So the monthly is a little bit higher than here. So we have the monthly, right? So here's the bullish divergence. Higher share price, lower RSI. You can barely see it's in there, right? But the lower RSI is here. Lower RSI, or higher, lower share price, but higher RSI. And that seems to be happening. Now, can we get... Are we looking for one more plunge? Or is this good enough on the daily? Is this... Yes. So here's the daily rollover. 1, 2. Is this one technically higher? Yes. So we can see this. Ready? So 1. This one's higher. This one's higher. And this one's higher. So it's building up, but the share price is getting... So you're getting multiple bullish divergence. Now, all you're looking for now is signs of some turnaround, which, you know, we break from this. Now, I'm sure if I took this here, right, and we go, that's probably one. You can kind of see where, like, right there, you can see that this is the line, it kind of tests it, and this is a clean one right there, right? You can see that's clean. 1, 2, 3, comes out, retests. So, blue looks pretty good. This is another leg higher. Labu's moving up. So, speculative stuff looks great, guys. All right, I'm going to end it there. I'm late to my day. It's Thursday, so I always see Thursday as the afternoon sucker. So, like around 2 o'clock, I like to look in there. And then that sets me up for Friday to either step away from it or add at the open. All right, sounds good. Lowers target price to 168. Okay, sure. Outcomes based with Medicaid. Yeah, let's lower that sharp. We'll go neutral. All right, good job, Wedbush. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. I got some messages coming through. Again, I'm working on stuff. I got stuff coming. It's been slow. I apologize, but trading. I've been trying to get my trading up, preparing.